All right, Mr. Body, you ready from the state? Anything we need to discuss before the jurors come in? Okay, your witness is ready?
Yes, sir. Discussion would be defendants 20. Your Honor, I want to take a look at some items that the state has sent over.
Right, defendants 20, which I have right here, and the autopsy pictures. So is that something you were going to use with this witness?
Not with this witness, it would be in closing.
Okay, we will definitely discuss that. I'd love to use the juror time now that drug court has eaten into. So it's not forgotten. We'll get to it. If your witness is close enough to the door, I'm going to bring the jurors in. You don't need to be in the room. I just want to make sure they're not going to be waiting on him. Great. All right. Great. Can you bring the jurors in, please?
All right, for the jury. All jurors are present and accounted for, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Everyone should be seated. Hello, jurors.
Hello.
Good to see you all again. I missed you. You all got an email yesterday from my staff, just as a little gentle reminder. I appreciate you being here on time. My drug court ran late. It was a tougher last 2 weeks than usual for people who are wrestling with addiction. And so there were some extra complicated things we needed to work through. So the lawyers were here at noon, ready to go. And you were too, but drug court ran late. And for that, I apologize, but it was important that I focus on that. We are going to resume with the defense case. If you hearken back to where we were when we parted ways on Friday, Mr. Miller and Ms. Bird had been presenting the defense case. No burden on the defense, but they have an absolute right, just like the state, to call witnesses. And they are in the midst of that. So with that refresher of where we left off, Mr. Miller, if you would call your next witness, please.
The defense would call Jeffrey Swanner.
Will raise your hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give, of course, make sure the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, ma'am. You may walk right in and see, please. State and spell your name for the court.
Jeffrey Swanner, Jeffrey Swanner.
Mr. Swanner, the first, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Second, the chair you're sitting in does not have wheels, so you don't roll off and get hurt and sue us. But it makes it harder to scoot in. I need you to be close to the microphone, great, so that everyone can hear you when you're answering the questions.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Swanner, where do you work?
I am currently retired from the Georgia State Patrol, and I run my crash reconstruction business, Awega Crash Reconstruction and LLC, Consulting LLC.
Okay, and what's the name of your crash reconstruction company?
Sawega Crash Reconstruction and Consulting LLC.
Can you spell that first word?
Sawega, Sowega. It's short for Southwest Georgia.
So we got.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. What are some of your duties at Sawega?
It can be range from looking at a report and giving an attorney uh, an opinion on a report, crash report, or it could be watching videos. It's basically looking at a crash and seeing what happened in the crash and what was done and what wasn't done based off the report and information that I receive.
And how long have you been in business?
Since 2023, I believe.
All right. And you said prior to Sawega, you were with GSP.
Yes, sir.
Was that Georgia State Patrol?
Yes, sir.
And when did you begin working with Georgia State Patrol?
I got hired December 16th, 2004 as a dispatcher in, at the time, Donaldsonville,
All right.
Where's that?
Southwest Georgia. It is the far southwest, bottom southwest corner is corner Alabama and Florida.
While you were at GSP, did you eventually begin working with the skirt team?
Yes, sir. Can I kind of go through the timeline?
Yeah, sure.
I got hired as a dispatcher in 2004. I went to trooper school in 2011, and out of trooper school, I went to Villa Rica Post, which is Carroll and Douglas counties. While I was there, we worked 20 to 30 wrecks a month per person because of the traffic volume. While I was there, I attended extra training and different things. And then in 2014, I put in for and got a position on the specialized collision reconstruction team or skirt team in the southwest corner of the state, Troop G, as it's known, and that's down around Albany and Americus, Thomasville areas.
Okay. And how long were you with skirt?
Until February 1st, 2021.
Okay. And in what capacity were you working with skirt Troop G?
I came in as a regular trooper. My job was basically to go to prosecutable fatality crashes. That was our main objective, but we was assisting other troopers with crashes as needed, being we had specialized training and more equipment than the average field troopers.
What certifications do you have?
A lot. I don't. To get on the skirt, you have to have 7 levels of accident reconstruction. In trooper school, you get on scene levels 1 and 2. And then when you get out, every trooper is required to get accident reconstructions levels 1 through 3. To be able to put in for skirt, you have to put in a request to go to 4 and 5 reconstruction levels to be eligible to put in for skirt. I obtained that when I was in Villa Rica still, and then I was able to had the requirements to put in for skirt and get the position.
Okay. And then you said that you did some training that was outside of, where's the training for Georgia State Patrol? Where's that done at?
That's going to be at Gypstick, Georgia Public Safety Training Center down in Forsyth. It's right off the Interstate 75. That's where trooper school is held, and a lot of the additional training, further training, is held there at Gypstick.
Okay. And while you were at Georgia State Patrol, did you receive, stated you received outside training as well? Where was that training done?
That's going to be at IPTM, and Institute of Police and Technology Management. It's in Jacksonville. It's more of a specialized course selection. It's for DUIs. And then they have DUI section, crime scene section, and crash reconstruction section. And my supervisor at the time, he was very helpful and encouraged training. And he signed off for me to go to additional training that I would put in for other than what was required for the skirt team.
As part of your training at IPTM, did you study human factors in traffic crash reconstruction?
Yes, sir.
All right, and what does that entail?
That's basically how your brain processes what you see, the human element of it. It's basically taking witness statements or witness accounts of what happened and matching it to the evidence. And a lot of people will say they witnessed a crash, but what happens is they hear a crash and they turn around and they see the aftermath. And as a crash investigator slash reconstructionist, that can be helpful, but you need to know what to kind of filter through to know what's facts and what somebody didn't actually see to decipher what's what.
Okay, now, occupant kinematics for the traffic crash investigator, what does that entail?
That's basically how the occupants of a vehicle, people react during a crash, what their body does, how matching injuries to damage in the vehicle like you would if a car hits a pole with the front end, you can match that damage profile to what it hit. It's the same thing, but it's on the occupant level. It's not on the vehicle level.
Okay. And when did you retire from GSP?
It went through September 1st, 2022.
All right, so in April of 2021, were you still with GSP?
Yes, sir.
The training methods that you used with Troop G, are those training methods uniform throughout the state?
To my knowledge, yes, sir. And going back to my role on Skirt, I was just a regular team member until 2019, and then I was promoted to a corporal as a team leader in April of 2019.
All right. And approximately how many hours do you have in accident-specific training?
Over 600, 660, I believe.
All right, and you're familiar with the term kinematics?
Yes, sir.
What is kinematics?
It's just the movement of the body, and it in this instance, it pertains to how the body reacts and moves when it's involved in a collision.
Okay, and applied physics for the traffic crash investigator, what all is entailed with that training?
It just goes into the energy involved in crash reconstruction, how to utilize energy formulas and different things to be able to put a crash back together. They gave us I think a problem in the beginning of the week, and then we kind of built on it and worked off of that the rest of the week.
Okay, approximately how many crashes have you investigated while with GSP?
Probably close to 1,000.
And of those, approximately how many were you the lead investigator?
Are you talking about crashes in general or fatalities?
Because in general first and then fatalities.
Crashes all together like working rate reports. That's anything from hitting a mailbox to several vehicles and deaths. Over 700. I don't remember the exact number. That I was a primary and I was a reporting officer for a wreck. In the primary skirt cases, I was probably close to 100, but when I was a team lead, I was checking the reports of the other guys. So I was involved in some form, fashion, or way in way more than that, but that's just the ones that my name was on the report as the author of.
And are you state certified to conduct accident reconstruction?
Yes, sir. There's a state reconstruction specialist test. It's an 8-hour test, and I have that certification also.
All right, at this time, defense would move to tender Jeffrey Swanner as an expert in accident reconstruction.
I'm not sure which prosecutor is going to be handling Mr. Swanner. All right, Mr. Swanner, you are certified, by the wrong term, you are qualified as an expert for the purposes of this trial in the field of accident reconstruction.
Mr. Swanner, so we did your own business, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as such, do you charge for your services?
Yes, sir.
And is it an hourly rate or a flat rate?
It depends on what service. I have an hourly rate, I have a retainer, and I have a court appearance and a court appearance fee and a disposition fee.
Okay, to date, have you charged us for your services in this case?
Yes, sir.
And about how much so far have you charged?
I think as of now, it's around 5,000.
All right, now, does that amount in any way affect your opinion?
Not at all.
Have you been hired for cases where your opinion was contrary to what you were hired for?
What does that mean?
Have there been times where your opinion is different from the opinion that they were needing from you?
Well, that's irrelevant.
Overruled, you can keep going. Do you understand the question?
Yes, sir. I have been sent cases where findings were made by a law enforcement agency. Sometimes I agree with the law enforcement agency's findings, and sometimes I do not agree with the law enforcement agency's finding as far as criminal cases go.
All right. All right, so are you familiar with the policies and procedures of GSP?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with the training for crash reconstruction with GSP?
Yes, sir.
Is that training uniform throughout the state?
Yes, sir.
And the policies and procedures for GSP, are those also uniform throughout the state?
Yes, sir.
Are these suggestions or these policies and procedures, or are they mandatory?
They are guidelines on how to operate. So they're written by the legal department and HR, and they are in place to protect the agency and the employee. So they're how everything should be handled by everyone involved.
Now, is it important in your, given your training and your experience, is it important to start a narrative or an investigation on a case as close in time to the incident as possible?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
Because the more that the time passes by, the more evidence could be lost or misplaced or moved. You want to document the scene and everything that you can as quickly as you can to have the most accurate report and record of what you're looking at that you can have.
Did you review a crash investigation from a collision in the early mornings of April the 9th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
Approximately, or when were you asked to do an independent investigation of this crash?
I believe I was notified last October is when I was contacted.
All right, did you form an opinion as to the placement of each driver?
Yes, sir.
Was that based on your independent findings with the material that you had for that investigation?
Yes, sir.
What all information did you have prior to forming that?
I believe you or your office forwarded me the discovery packet, so I was afforded the opportunity to look at all the information that I guess everybody had at the time, being it was the discovery packet. It wasn't just bits and pieces, it was everything.
Okay, so did you receive the case file that was done by Corporal Lee?
Yes, sir.
And did you also receive the pictures at the scene as well as at the tow yard that he did?
Yes, sir.
And medical records from the deceased as well as from Mr. Poole, you received those as well?
I believe the medical records of Mr. Poole and then the autopsy report of Mr. Minor and Mr. Jones.
Okay. Did you also receive the EMS records for Mr. Poole?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you create a report based off of your findings in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, not going to tender it into evidence, but if you do need to refer to your report, is that what's on that desk right beside you?
Yes, sir. This is going to have a copy of my report and then the skirt report behind it that I reference in my report. So it's paper stuff, but it's what was sent to me. It's not anything other than my report. It's not anything that I generated other than my actual report in there.
Okay.
Mr. Swanner, if you at any point need to refer to something in the binder, just make clear to all of us which of the documents you're looking at.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think I know that answer, but I need to look at the skirt report. So we know, oh, you're looking at the skirt report.
And I'll be on the same page. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
And you need to look at it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Mr. Swanner, based off of the case file, pics at the scene, all of the Grady Emmy records, and your training, your experience, where did you determine everyone was sitting in that vehicle?
Before you answer, there's going to be an objection. When you see a lawyer on the other side stand up, you don't want to interrupt. Usually he won't interrupt the question, but then I need to field the objection and then I'll let you know if you can answer. Mr. Abadi.
The scope of his expertise as it relates to the specific positions for each person in the vehicle. He was qualified as an expert in accident reconstruction, just as Corporal Lee was. And there was a point at which his expertise was challenged as it relates to this exact topic.
Okay. Do you want to challenge Mr. Swanner's expertise, or your observation is he has been qualified as an expert in accident reconstruction, but not, we've heard a lot about kinematics or other things, or I want to make sure I'm following your objection, partly so I can respond, but also so Mr. Miller knows what he's responding to.
Last thing you said is my challenge for his expertise is qualified as an accident reconstructionist as it relates to the incident on April 9th, 2021.
Okay. Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor. Kinematics, everything else that was discussed in this training all falls within the umbrella of accident reconstruction. This would all go towards his training and his experience, which he's already been qualified as an expert in.
So what's different here than with Corporal Lee? Because you objected to Corporal Lee answering a question like the one you just asked. And so we have an expert qualified in the same field and presumably some of the same training. I'm not saying it's identical, but they had similar jobs. It would seem like this would be just as problematic a question for this expert as it was for the previous expert.
Right. Unlike Corporal Lee, Mr. Swanner has testified that he's got experience in human factors in traffic reconstruction, occupant kinematics, which is how the body moves while it's in an accident, as well as applied physics for traffic crash investigators, all of which would fall underneath that umbrella as an accident reconstructionist. Corporal Lee did not have those same trainings, or at least he did not qualify on, he was not qualified by the state to have received the same trainings that Mr. Swanner has had with regards to accident reconstruction.
Okay. Mr. Swanner, what about the three areas that Mr. Miller just listed, those trainings, kinematics, human, whatever those three things were? What about that training? Do you feel puts you in a position to offer an opinion of where people were in the car before the accident happened? Because I'll tell you, my reserve is, and you can address it, that strikes me a little bit like the example you gave of people say they saw the accident, but what they did was hear the accident, and then they look and they see there's a car wrapped around a pole. They don't really know what happened other than there's a car wrapped around the pole. You didn't see it, you didn't hear it, you weren't there, you didn't hear anything that happened. What about those three training areas do you feel empowers you to give an opinion about, well, this guy was in the driver's seat? I don't know that it's going to be that level of detail, but to say where they were in the car other than when they were found, which you don't need to testify to because that's already in the record. Does that make sense?
Yes.
My question?
You want me to elaborate to show why? I'll just answer the question.
Please.
The occupant kinematics class, it had two instructors. One was a retired Pennsylvania State Police trooper, however they call them up there. And the other one was a biomedical engineer, some technical.
Someone who knows a lot about that stuff.
Way smarter than I am. He has some letters at the end of his name. I don't know what that was about. But during that class, we was given a case study from an actual collision that was worked and put back together. And it was, was given the information. There was 4 occupants that was transported to the hospital from the scene. There's 2 vehicles, and they gave you inside photos of the vehicles. And during the case study experiment part of the class, we was broke up into groups and we was looking at the evidence of the stuff, and we had to figure out where the people were sitting, and it was kind of one of them things that's way more than you know at the time. And it was, everybody had assumed that there was 2 people per vehicle based off the information. 4 people, 2 vehicles. Okay, we assume it's 2 people per vehicle. But at the end of it, the instructor went over it and it showed us that there was 3 people in one vehicle and 1 person in another. And he showed us the damage profile of the inside of the vehicle and the injuries. And it basically explained to us and showed us how people move with inside the vehicle and what damages they can cause inside the vehicle as it's involved in a collision, to match the injury profiles of the individuals to what caused it on the inside of the vehicle. And they was talking about people being ejected from the vehicle, how or where they can be ejected from, and very, I ain't gonna say very technical, but it showed you how to utilize the inside of the vehicle as a wreck scene to put it back together to show injuries and what caused them, and be able to utilize that as evidence to put the people back where they was in the beginning.
Okay. All right. Do you want to ask Mr. Abate any questions of Mr. Swanner in this area he and I just explored? Okay. I'm overruling the objection. Mr. Miller, you can keep going.
Based on everything that you've reviewed, in your training and experience, where did you determine each person was sitting inside of that vehicle?
Based off the information I was given,
Stop for 1 sec.
I'm gonna object to lack of foundation as it relates to him answering this question. We're a little premature.
Sustained.
How did you reach your conclusion?
I reviewed all the evidence and I looked at the injuries, the damage, and reverted back to my training to see what the evidence showed and not what was in the report. I didn't let the report bias me in my findings. I looked at strictly the evidence that was collected.
All right, so the report and the findings that you had, were they independent of any statements?
Yes, sir. Everything that my report contains, the conclusions that I came to were based off me examining the evidence and the reports and different things, and not based off somebody telling me one thing or another.
All right, and we're going to get there. In an accident, what are the 3 questions that should be answered during a reconstruction?
You have 3 elements of a crash. You have the roadway factor, you have the vehicle factor, and you have the person factor. There's 3 different places that evidence can be gathered or collected, and that's the person, roadway, and the vehicle.
All right, now when we're talking about the person, what are you referring to?
You want to match injuries to what could have caused the injuries. You want to be able to put the evidence and utilize it to be able to prove or disprove it. Somebody saying something over it, somebody telling you what happened, so you can prove it or disprove it, and not just go with a statement.
All right, now the vehicle, when trying to answer the question of the vehicle, what is it that you're looking for?
The damage of the vehicle, how it reacted or interacted with the roadway, and what caused the vehicle to lose control, or the match the roadway evidence from the vehicle to it, so you can show where the vehicle was during the process of the crash, and match the damage up to what caused the damage.
All right, and then to answer the question of roadway, what are you looking for?
You're looking for tire marks, gouge marks, scuff marks, anything on the road that shows where that vehicle may have been and how that vehicle may have been interacting with the roadway at that particular time that evidence was created.
All right, in your review of the records you were given, what was the main focus of that reconstruction?
The one that was the skirt report.
Correct.
In my opinion, the skirt report was focused on the speed of the vehicle.
All right, and why do you say that?
Because they talk about the download, the ACM black box information, talking about how fast it was, how fast the vehicle was going, and it had been involved in a pursuit with a trooper during the crash, prior to the crash. So speed, while a factor, it should not have been the primary focus of this investigation.
All right, now when downloading the ACM, is it important to validate that information?
Yes, sir.
And how do you validate the information that the ACM gives you?
Toward the front of the report, it's going to show you how many ignition cycles or the vehicle is at during the download. It'll say ignition cycles at investigation or download, something to that effect. There's every vehicle manufacturer does theirs different ways, different wording, but it's all the same information. And then there's different events that was created during the crash, and you match the ignition cycles during that event to the ignition cycles at the investigation or download, or however it's.
All right, do you have experience with ACM retrieval?
Yes, sir.
And what's the process?
you go to the wrecked vehicle in the record yard or at the scene. This was done at the record yard. If there's not extensive damage, you can go in through the DLC where you plug in the computer for your car if the check engine light's on. But if there's no power to the vehicle, the battery's damaged or something to that effect, you'll actually have to go to the actual ACM module. They call it a black box, but most all of them are shiny silver and they're placed at different places in the vehicle. And you can actually take that out or go straight to it, and they make cables that you can plug directly into it to a computer that has software that's supposed to be CDR software that can take a picture of that information that's on there and create a report from it.
All right, I'm showing you what's been already entered into evidence, State's Exhibit 137. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 137?
Yes, sir.
All right, and what is that?
That's going to be the CDR crash data retrieval report for the vehicle that was involved in the crash on April 9th.
All right, now how many events were received from that ACM pool in that case, or in this case?
I'm not real. I don't remember off the top of my head. There was a couple different ones. I know it wasn't just one event on it. But there was different ones, more than one. I don't remember the exact number.
Okay, and can you look at it and just tell us how many?
It's showing two events.
All right. Now, given the information that you received from the ACM events, how are you able to calculate the distance traveled?
There's a table, pre-crash data, -5 seconds to 0 seconds, and it's a timestamp that shows the vehicle speed in miles per hour and kilometers an hour, accelerator pedal percentage full, engine RPM, motor RPM, service brake on or off, and steering input. The speed, you would have to convert the speed to feet per second from miles per hour. And then you would take half of that, being this is in half-second increments.
All right. Given that information, are you able to calculate the distance that this vehicle traveled?
Yes, sir.
And what is that distance?
I kind of look back at my notes. I don't know if I have this calculated.
So you reference notes. Are your notes something different from your report or?
I just said notes. I meant my report.
Okay.
And I don't know if I calculated that in my report. I could do it real quick.
Well, rather than do that, would it help you if I refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you could just take a look at that, and once you've had a chance to refresh your recollection, let us know.
Okay. It's going to be approximately 812.13 feet.
All right, is that different from the total distance traveled that was in the case file that you received?
Yes, sir.
All right, what is it? And I'm showing you, or I'm about to bring onto the screen, the fifth exhibit 24.
Okay.
Into the paper copy, but I'm also.
You didn't, over the long break, actually get me an exhibit list? Nope. Well, okay, you could get me what you already have. All right, 24 is in. No, it's
Oh,
already
it's already
in.
in.
It's helpful to have the exhibit list because Mr. Miller was saying, hey, 24 is already in. I just want to confirm that it's in, and it is.
All right, now, looking at Defense Exhibit 24, what is the total mileage that's on that chart?
On this chart is 802 69.3 feet.
That's not mileage, I hope.
Feet.
Feet. No, you didn't say it. The question was total mileage. It's
I'm
not
sorry.
total mileage. How can I help you, Juror?
The screen bigger?
I'm not sure. What, let me see what's, oh yeah, I don't think I had to set up the Zoom call today. That's how today has gone. So if the screens are not all connecting, that should surprise no one because I did it. But they are. So there we go. That was
There's a message on the screen.
yeah, you hit the stay muted button. You don't
Okay.
want to talk.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, what is the biggest difference, or where's the difference between the number that you got when you did the distance travel and the number that we see in Defense Exhibit 24?
And I'm gonna object only because I don't know how he got his number, because it's not included in his report.
Sustained.
Mr. Swanner, you testified earlier to how you would calculate the distance traveled. Correct.
I think I said how much distance travel. ACM